Hello and welcome to our program Where God Weeps, a program in which we tell the stories of the suffering and persecuted church around the world. The war in Syria has unleashed the greatest humanitarian catastrophe since the Second World War. More than 400,000 people have died since the conflict broke out in March of 2011, and according to the United Nations, approximately 5.6 million Syrians have become refugees, and more than 13 million people are in need of humanitarian assistance. Christians have suffered particularly, firstly due to the consequences of the war and the economic embargo, but also due to extreme religious persecution at the hands of jihadists bent on eradicating Christianity. According to our best estimates, over 1,700 Christians have been murdered, over 680 kidnapped, and over 1,300 church properties destroyed. It is no wonder then that Christians before the war numbered 10% of the population. Today they number at best 3%. To tell us more, it's my privilege to welcome Sister Annie Demerjian, a Syrian sister of the Community of Jesus and Mary, who has remained in Aleppo throughout the war and who's tried to console the suffering of the Syrian people. Sister Annie, thank you for being with us here today in our program.
Hello, Mark. Happy to meet you again.
Sister, before we start our conversation, I want to just show a little video of a young mother who is widowed and trying to live her life as best she can today in the circumstances. Let's have a look.
أنا اسمي رشا دريزي، حالياً عايشة بالقرية الدغلي بوادي النصارى بعد ما تهجرنا من الشام، أرملة وعندي ولدين. بال 2012 تقريباً بآخر 2012 اجينا لهون. صار يشتغل على سيارة نتيجة القذائف والمشاكل اللي كانت تصير بالمنطقة. بأثناء شغله على السيارة صار التفجير وتوفى. كأنه عنده ولدين هو شيء كتير صعب بالوقت اللي ما في شيء، ما في منتوج، ما في مورد، ما في حدا يرد. المساعد يلي عم تجيني من الACN هي الشيء اللي أنا عايشة عليه أنا والأولاد، ما في شيء ثاني. أولادي عم يروحوا على المدرسة بشكل مستمر، ما قطعوا عن المدرسة أبداً. ميشيل بصف السادس، راشيل بصف الثالث، هن من الأطفال المميزين بالمدرسة كدراسة. أكيد بعلم أولادي الإيمان بالله، الإيمان هو اللي مثبتنا لهلا. بحب أقول لكل الناس اللي هي عم تتبرع واللي عم تقدم هاي المشاريع إنه هي هاي المشاريع هي بنية حياة، وأنا وحدة منه، أنا وأولادي. شكراً.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to our program Where God Weeps. We're here with Sister Annie Demerjian, a Syrian sister who is traveling between Homs and Aleppo and living in Damascus and working with those who have the most difficulty in Syria. Sister Annie, thank you for being with us here in our program again. Sister, before we get into the details, can you tell us a little bit, what is the situation in Syria today? How would you describe the situation in Syria today?
According to the situation we are living in, most part of Syria, if you will speak, they've been liberated. People concerning the security are living in good condition, but concerning the daily life, they still struggling for their daily life, especially with the sanction imposed on Syria. Very hard that people to get a job or to move ahead for their life.
Sister, you are a member of the community of Jesus and Mary, a French community originally, and you are based in Damascus and working in Homs and Aleppo, and you've been since the beginning living throughout the whole Syrian war. Now in the restarting of life, being four sisters, where do you put your priorities? Where do you put your actions? How do you try and help the people?
First, you said it's a French order started by Saint Claudine Thévenin, and in the time of French Revolution. So when we start praying or just talking about Saint Claudine time, we say how much our time is similar to her time. You know, she suffered a lot. She saw a lot of misery around her. So she felt the sadness that people can live without knowing God, can live and die without knowing God. We felt a lot that she's interceding for us in this time.
She's carrying you at this time.
When we we were in Aleppo working in the school, and when the war started, the number of the school started diminishing less and less. So
the children were not coming to school, or
the family left the city. So we were 1,500. During the war, we arrived to 600. So in the morning, we are working in the emergency help, going, visiting the families, doing all kind of help we can. Afternoon, we go, midday till afternoon, we go to the school. It was exhausting for us, you know. Later on, we saw it's better if we just center our work with the needs of now, you know. And some sisters went to Damascus for health care. So we continue the work in Aleppo for emergency help, especially the city without electricity, without water. Sometimes the road will be cut, so no food in the city. And you can imagine the state of life we lived through. We decide to stay, we decide to live like our people lived and to do our best to help them.
It's like, I mean, the famous drop of water on a hot stone, you know, this sense of you are so few and you are trying to bring God's love and you're trying to show God's love and witness. So 2 questions. Is it not frustrating for you? And ask yourself, how can we change something in this overwhelming environment when we see the pictures of Aleppo and the destruction and everything and then secondly, how do the people receive you? Because you're not only working with Christians, obviously, but with Muslims and other groups as well.
You know, when the war started, none of us thought that it will continue. We said it's just because Syria was a very beautiful, very peaceful country. We never imagined that the war will come like that, you know. So when the war started, all what we thought, how we can help our people, without thinking that we will be the savior. We cannot be the savior of the whole. We have this case, I can help, and the Lord will do the rest, you know. And many hands, many organizations, many missionaries, congregations, churches, all, each, they are working according to their capacity. So that will, I think, will continue or complete the picture of
what you are doing.
Of the suffering Jesus. So each one will put some piece to help with this.
How do you keep your faith? How do you have been living, the war has been going on for 8 years and you have seen so much suffering and so much violence. How do you not ask God, now is enough, God, why don't you act? Why don't you help stop this terrible situation? How do you live and keep your faith in this environment?
Well, I ask God many times, please do something, you know, in the front of the many violence. You say it's enough, it's enough. Um, what it keep us going, it's the prayer, you know. I remember now when I record how we lived, we used to get up early and praying together before going to the school, when the school started, before our school closed, because later on we shared afternoon school. So we used to get up and pray. No electricity, nothing. But without thinking, we go to the chapel, the book of prayer in one hand, the candle in another hand, all together praying. You know, that's when I remember it. Yes, we never thought about it. Just we are doing it in that time, trusting the Lord and praying together. Together, it makes us strong. We lived 4 sisters, later on 3 sisters, but really we had the good moment together. And also we have a community of lay people who came and shared with us and used to help the people. So we had the strength from each other and also from the prayer. And many times when we get up early, sometimes we get up 1 o'clock in the night because of the bombing, and we say, what's happened, where is it? If we knew that it's happened near, we call the people, are you okay, you need any help? Sometimes just you sit in silence, you can't say any word, any prayer, you know, just being there and trusting God, trusting Him.
Sister, I know it's perhaps not an evident question, but have you seen miracles in this environment?
A lot. And I think this is what makes us go ahead, you know, keep going. One day I will tell you, everything was closed. We had a siege, and ISIS and al-Nusra controlled the main road, and we have nothing to enter the city. No wheat, no fuel, nothing. That means the bakeries doesn't work, functioning, you know. So we're going to the school Saturday, Sunday. It's the holiday for government school, so we go early in the morning instead afternoon. Our school closed because sniper can reach it, so we moved and we share school afternoon, and we have Friday, Saturday we go morning. And we saw young people coming. Please, can you tell us where we can find bread? And we start telling them, you can go there. He said, we went, closed. You can go to this part, closed. So we look at each other. We were 3 sisters. We went up, we took all the bread we have with biscuits, and we gave them. And we forgot about it. We went to the school. Coming, we're cooking. we cook for ourselves. So we are cooking our lunch, and we forgot that we don't have bread, but okay, things can going without it. And we heard the knock at the door. We opened the door, and a friend of us said, Sister, I received the bread and I remember you with this. For us, you know, yes, we remember that, you know, how God is great and He provides. And many times we experience that in our work, many times. I will tell you something very moving. For me, it's still in my heart and mind. One day, I received a call from a lady. It was like this day, September, the beginning of the school. And she said to me, Sister, this year you didn't distribute school bag. Do you have? I told her, sorry, this time nobody gave us. I will see if someone will give us, I will call you. She has 3 children. And I put the telephone off and I went. Later on, after an hour, I received a call. A friend of mine said, Sister, this year you didn't ask for a bag. I said, well, nobody offered us money to buy, sorry. And he said, but I put aside for you 15 bags. Come and distribute them. I closed it, but I cried. I remember God works miracle in our life, ask and trust and He will provide everything. This is few things happen, but me and my sisters, every time we saw in this war the hand of God with us.
I want to come back a little bit now to the more difficult situations. You mentioned once, and I quote you, "It's easy to rebuild a house, but it's difficult to rebuild a broken soul." What are the psychological impacts on the people, and how do you rebuild a broken soul?
Yeah, it's very hard task. This is the hardest part, I think, because the human dignity and broken, and it's very hard. Those who lost their daughter or their son, the husband, the mother, it's not easy to forget. Forgetting one thing, but healing another thing. I always keep the image of Jesus when He rise up from death with His wound. But His wound no more is giving us, no more is bleeding blood. His wound, it's a source of life and light. And that's our task, not just the church. Everyone can, God give him the talents to do that. Through prayer, through courses, through listening. All what we can do is the accompaniment of these people who lost their dear one, lost everything. So for me, it's a time only can be the answer. Time and prayer with all the means we can do for our people.
Many Christians have left. How do you try and, a young couple that come and say, a young family that says, "Sister, we also want to leave. What do we do? Tell us what to do." How do you answer?
In that situation, we can't give an answer because it's a personal choices for them to decide. We understand the decision they will take. Especially we are a minority, so the Christians are worried about the future when they are a minority, so they are always faced for any persecution or any difficulties. So when they come and they will tell me, "Sister, it's better for the future of our children," I can't say no, because if anything happened to them, I will blame myself, and that's happened many times. So I just say, I will pray that the Lord will give you the right decision to take. This is our home, our land, but you have to choose.
Sister, we're going to watch now another short film on a family that left and moved to, not outside of Syria, but to a place called the Valley of the Christians. We're just going to see a little picture of what life is like for the families living in the Valley of the Christians. Let's watch this film now.
I'm Majd Jarhoum, originally from Home City and now living in Marmarita, Valley of Christians. I'm originally a dentist, but now I work in St. Peter's Relief Center. We take care of displaced and affected families. At first we started with simple aid, food kits and hygiene kits, and then later ACN starting helping us with bigger projects like the medical support projects for surgeries, medical supplies and treatments, and for prescriptions, and with rent support for the displaced families, and with the scholarships, and we also have financial support for also the very poor families. Because of their economical situation and because it's not easy to reconstruct their houses on their own, these people, they can't just go back home yet. It's getting more difficult every year because some families used to have some savings and of course they don't anymore. It's not easy to be living here away from everything else they used to have. Everyone just wants to go back. The years that we have been working here, we feel that what we do actually matters. We feel that these families are depending on us. Sometimes when we see amazing miracles every day, we thank God for that, and we know that the hand of God is playing this role.
كان أحسن بكتير هون يعني من هون، بس كنت عايشة أنا وجوزي وأولادي. فجأة تقنص الصبي، توفى. ضلينا بعده 7 شهور بجينا لهون. بس هون المعيشة صعبة كتير. هو الصلاة وإيماني بالله، يعني على طول صلي إنه دخيل اسمك يا رب، أعطيني الصبر لحتى أقدر. أكيد 100% بتمنى اليوم قبل بكرة إني أرجع على بيتي وأماكني خبطت يعني وكتر خيرهم، يعني من عمليات، من أدوية، من أجار بيت، من مستشفيات لتحاليل لصور لكل شيء إني عم بيساعدوني. يعني شيء بياخذ العقل. الله يوفقكم والله يحميكم، لولا إلي نحن ولا شيء.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to our program Where God Weeps. It's my privilege to be speaking with Sister Annie Demerjian, and we're speaking about the situation of Christians in Syria and the difficulties of staying. Sister Annie, you work a lot with children, and UNICEF has calculated that 3.7 million children have been born during the war.
Yeah.
They've known nothing but violence. My first question is, what is the impact psychologically on these children who have known only violence? And secondly, how do you help them? How, as in your little ways, again, can you help these children who have known nothing else but war?
One sister was sharing with us in the school that the reaction of our children becoming very violent, and that's the effect of the war. You can imagine 9 years hearing bombs, and many times we saw the children playing with the bullet.
Yes, the casings, the bullet casings.
Yes, so you can understand they lost their childhood. You know, they lost the innocence from their eyes. You know, they became bigger than what they must be, and it's very hard. So they didn't live their age, their childhood. For us, we don't have now any more school, but what we are doing, we try to see the needs of our children, like through the Church in Need. Last month we distribute school bags and stationaries. So everywhere in Syria, around 15,000 children receiving this gift. So you can see when they come and they choose. We have the policy, they must choose their own bag, they must choose their own
Stationary,
things, you know.
yes.
And this is the things, you know, we need to bring them back.
To give them the small joys.
Exactly, yes. And many churches are doing a lot of gathering in the school. Our sister go to Maruni, it's a small village, works with a catechist, and we have 170 small children. So the way she's doing with lots of activities, games in the summer, swimming, so just make all this tension, you know.
So that they can be children.
They can go back, yes, to their normal life. And now we are preparing for more than 17,000 children Christmas gift, also through the Church in Need. And I want to thank you because really it's great what you are trying to build in Syria. Not just the building, restoring of the building, but also restoring the hearts and the mind of the people.
Thank you for having been with us today in our program.
Thank you for this opportunity. It's sometimes it's good to work in silence and hide, but it's good also to say thank you for our benefactors in public, because they were the hero and our people were the hero, not us. We just the bridge from here to here.
Yes.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you, sister. And thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for having been with us today in our program, Where God Weeps. And if you'd like to know more about the situation of Sister Annie, the work of the sisters in Syria, either through prayer or concrete action, I would encourage you to look at the contact information at the end of this program. And we look forward to seeing you next week. Take care.